What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media outside of Gillette Stadium as the Patriots just wrapped up day 4 of their 2024 training camp. A reminder, we are powered by Game Time. Head over to Game Time. Use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Let's talk about it. Wide receivers today. When we spoke with Javon Baker after his pre-draft press conference, he told us to get our popcorn ready, and boy, did we need to have it ready today. Both himself, Jalen Polk, a couple of the young guys, Kayshon Boutte as well, having really good days throughout one-on-ones. Today, wide receivers versus cornerbacks. It was competitive. You know, there were some wins and some losses, obviously, on both sides of the football. But personally, I thought that Jalen Polk and Javon Baker really stood out. A couple highlight plays over some of New England's top defensive backs who, frankly, have one of the better defensive back rooms in football. So it was a lot of fun to see. The fans were going nuts. Javon Baker's throwing the football in the air. Jalen Polk's pumping up the crowd, so it was a lot of fun. Taylor, what did you make of the wins and losses today on one-on-ones? What did you think of the young wide receivers that the Patriots have?
I thought Javon Baker was the best player on the field today. We've seen the flashes where he's like got 3 different reps from the going back to the spring where he's mossing defenders. And these one-on-one situations really stands out more than anyone else. And today, that was on full display. He had one throw, I think it was from Jacoby Brissett, where he had to track it from one shoulder to the other downfield. Had a clear win as well. Actually brought it in. I asked him after practice, do you have a baseball background? Because it just didn't look normal. It's like an outfielder trying to, track a home run.
Looked like Willie Mays.
Yeah, and he was saying that not only does he have a baseball background, he said he played everything growing up. Also mentioned how soccer helped him with his footwork, which also stands out. Just the dominant play that you see from him, whether it's a contested grab, whether he's getting wide open. He shook Christian Gonzalez on a corner route with a head fake at the top of the route. And obviously in these one-on-ones, it's important to emphasize that the receivers always have an advantage because the defenders don't have any help the way they would if they had, other
Safety
players
help
around.
Somewhere else. Yeah, right.
Exactly. But at the same time, Javon Baker still looked very good. Even Jalen Polk, he only caught 1 pass. I believe it was 4 targets, but you saw him getting separation as well. And then Kayshon Boutte had a bomb with Christian Gonzalez in coverage from Drake May. And Drake May, I mentioned in the other video, was inconsistent, but did have some really impressive deep throws. So I've been saying for a while, if the Patriots are going to exceed expectations, it's going to be because their young guys actually carve out significant roles and give them some juice. And I think we saw a preview of that today.
What did you make of Kayshon Boutte today? Because he had a really nice catch from Drake May, over the shoulder throw over Christian Gonzalez. It looks like he got his toe tapped in here. We have that on Patriots CLNS Twitter if you want to go check that out. I tweeted it. Taylor tweeted it as well. A really good play. Boutte's looked solid. We spoke to him after practice. He told us that the charges, since they've been cleared from the online gambling situation down in Louisiana when he was down at LSU, he said it was a young person's mistake, said that, he's past that. He's not going to be gambling on sports anymore. He was asked that several times, and he really cleared the air and said that he's ready to rock and move forward into year 2. So what have you seen from Boutte? What do you make of that play over a guy like Christian Gonzalez, who is New England's best cornerback? And where do you see him fitting into the wide receiver and moving forward?
Yeah, on top of obviously the deep catch, during team drills, he also had an impressive grab where the pass was, I think it was from Drake May, was thrown behind him on a slant, and he still made it. That's the thing. Kayshon Boutte's not gotten a ton of opportunities with some of the earlier quarterbacks like Jacoby Brissett, sometimes with Drake May, but he's usually deeper down in the rotation. I'd like to see more of him, though. He flashes. There hasn't been consistency. Maybe they're seeing something in the film room where there's a reason that he isn't elevating. But clearly, physically, a different player than a lot of, especially the veterans out here. Like the young guys consistently stand out from an athleticism and explosiveness standpoint. And also, Boutte, I like the answer he gave when someone asked him about going up against Christian Gonzalez and how he mentioned that when you're going up against a guy like Gonzalez who's so patient, one of the reasons I think he can be a top-tier corner early on, he said there's different things you have to throw at him to kind of catch him off guard. And I believe there was some work he did early on in his stem that allowed him to get a step on someone with 4.3 speed like Gonzalez. So solid day for him. Didn't see him a ton, but again, the flashes with Boutte are really exciting.
Yeah, it is fun to see. It's that sort of second-tier wide receiver competition with, Thornton and Smith-Schuster and Boutte and Jalen Reagor, who is basically shoot in as like the top X receiver every time they start 11 on 11.
He stood out deep consistently.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor's looked pretty good. So it's going to be interesting outside of, the 2 rookies and then Kendrick Bourne and Demario Douglas, who are pretty much, locks to make the roster. It's going to be fascinating to see how the rest of that plays out.
Speaking of Demario Douglas, we also spoke to him today, and he mentioned the hand injury that's kept him out happened before camp. Also said that he's okay. It seems like more of a precautionary thing. They just don't want it to get any worse. So he, reassured us. Seems like everything's good. Also mentioned the number 3 and how he's worn it going back to Pop Warner. He had it on his headband, both of his little wristbands, and on his jersey. So that was kind of fun. But it seems like Pop Douglas, they're just playing it safe. He should be okay long term.
He's definitely trying to erase all the history of him wearing number 81 last year. Finally, before we get out of here, let's talk about the cornerback position going against those wide receivers. A guy in Alex Austin who I've mentioned a lot. not getting, the kind of run that I thought he should at the outside cornerback position. They've put Jonathan Jones there, and they've kind of moved Marcus Jones in the slot. Alex Austin ran in the slot a lot today, and we saw a lot more Marcus Jones again today there too. He looks good. We've mentioned it in the offseason when we did our depth projection series, how we weren't sure about Marcus Jones because of the injury history and things like that, but he's really stood out. And then they obviously gave Alex Austin a chance inside today as well.
Yeah, he had a great play where he actually gave up a catch at the catch point, but it was John Jones-esque where he kept fighting and ended up it was David Wallace, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't just rip the ball out. He ended up ripping off David Wallace's helmet.
Yep.
And you love to see that fire. Continues to be competitive as the top slot option. But also Alex Austin had a breakup of his own where he was right on the hip of Juju Smith-Schuster on a perfect ball from Drake May. Another guy who's been consistently competitive. And what stood out to me was he actually got reps in the slot, which is not something we've seen from Alex Austin. And when it comes to such a tightly contested cornerback 3 battle, being someone who's versatile like a John Jones, like a Marcus Jones will be huge. So he also didn't look out of place in the slot. He actually had a breakup against KJ Osborne. I think KJ Osborne wanted a flag thrown, but still, the play happened. But yeah, Alex Austin getting a move around the formation was definitely interesting and a good sign for his ability to not just make the roster, but carve out a role on this defense.
Yeah, after many years of subpar wide receiver play here down in Foxboro, looking like a lot of the young guys, Pop Douglas, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, making the most out of the opportunities here again. Javon Baker, I would say the player of the day out here at training camp on this Sunday. We'll be back on Patriots Press Pass as we continue on this Patriots training camp, so make sure you check us out there and check out all of our written work over at clnsmedia.com.
Make sure to subscribe to Patriots Press Pass for all your Patriots news and updates on YouTube, and for all our written work, make sure you check out clnsmedia.com.